Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob, and this video we're going to do our review for The Flash Season 3, Episode 2, Paradox. And this was a very, very good episode. Boy, things are really moving along quickly. So Barry learns early in the episode, or at least throughout going back in time, going back and reflecting while talking to Felicity from Arrow and confiding in her of what he had done. And she kind of helps him and asks him to go through it. And we learned that there's a lot more that's happened in Barry's new reality outside of Central City. And I thought this episode was, really, really good. It's almost weird because I felt it was very fast paced, but not in such a way that detracted from the episode. In fact, I kind of like the fact that it's moving at this rate. You know, it's funny, you watch the show The Flash, and I think back to the first two seasons, and a lot of times they drag the storyline. You know, we took a long time to find out who Reverse Flash was, even though we got a good hint of that as the episodes progressed. And then season 2, it took a long time to also find out who Zoom was, although we started to piece that together little by little as well. I don't think people are too concerned about the big secret of who Dr. Alchemy is, and perhaps even those who are more familiar with the character from DC, who know who his identity might be, are not that concerned about his identity being revealed. We already know who Rival is, and it looks like Rival's not even going to be around that long. At the end of that episode, we saw something grab him, and who knows what it is. I'm sure we'll find out eventually. But this episode really, really showed, and I'm hoping that by now Barry has finally learned his lesson, that going back in time just makes matters worse. And I think now, after realizing how much things have changed, even though they haven't changed on a large scale, they've changed enough that it's really affected Barry. His relationship with Cisco is not the same. Obviously, Joe and Iris, we found out that while in the original world, Iris was very forgiving with Joe about not talking about her mother, in this new reality, she held a grudge for quite some time. We also learn of a new little secret that Caitlin has that I'm sure will come back and reveal itself when the time is right. So, and Barry doesn't even know about that one yet. And it really took Barry a lot to finally just confess to him, hey, look, this is what happened. This is what I did. This is why things have changed. And Cisco was very upset at him at first. But after Barry talking to him and after Caitlin talking to Cisco, Cisco looks like he's going to try and move past it. I don't think it's going to be right away. I think it'll be a progressive relationship at this point. I think we'll see more of the original Cisco. But I think in interactions with Barry, it's not going to be the same, at least not right away. But I'm hoping that Cisco is starting to move forward, because I like the funny Cisco, the corny Cisco, the Cisco that comes up with the names. You know, that's the Cisco I like. And I really missed him in this episode. You know, you would think, oh, one episode without that Cisco is no big deal. But, boy, it was really, really an impactful episode without the original Cisco being there. As far as the Rival goes, you know, again, I don't know if he's going to play a bigger role coming down the line. I'm sure they won't get rid of him that quickly. If they do, it may not be such a bad thing. A lot of fans were already complaining about another Speedster. But this time, it looks like the Speedster, even if he sticks around, he's going to have some company. And if Dr. Alchemy plans to give powers back to people in Barry's current world that had it in his other alternate reality, then we're probably going to see Wally West get his powers back at some point. We'll probably revisit some villains or get new villains that we hadn't seen prior but might have existed in the other reality. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all develops. And you know, it's nice that towards the end of the episode, things seem to be heading in the right direction. That might put Barry at ease a little bit. Him and Iris are still obviously very close and very connected, and it looks like they're going to move forward. It looks like Iris has finally gotten past her grudge with Joe. But the big thing here was Caitlin. Caitlin's at the very end. It's so ironic that Barry tells her, you're the one that's changed the least or hasn't changed. And sure enough, we see that her meta powers are starting to come out, and she looks very scared. And we all know what that means. We've already met Killer Frost last year. So very, very interesting how this show's dynamic not only affects itself, but affects the world around. As we saw, Diggle has a son instead of a daughter. And his son is, at this point in Barry's timeline, is a lot older. And if you remember, if you watch Legends of Tomorrow, there was an episode last year where the Legends team visited Star City in the future. And the new Green Arrow in the future was Diggle's son. So it's very interesting how now in this timeline, John Diggle has a son as opposed to a daughter. And whether or not this timeline is going to revert back to its original form, which I don't think it will, But if it does, then yes, we'll get Sarah back. But I don't think it will. I think it's going to stay this way. I think this timeline is the timeline we have. And I think it's very, very interesting where they're going to go in this direction. And we all know, if you guys haven't read up already, there will be a 4-way crossover come December with Supergirl, Arrow, Flash, and Legends of Tomorrow. So it's going to be interesting to see how all these things lead up to that big episode, you know, in terms of Arrow, Flash. Unfortunately, I'm not watching Supergirl at the moment because I need to actually watch season 1. So in terms of Arrow, I will have the episode 1 review up tomorrow at some point, either right before the second review or earlier in the day. I've been sick the last week, so I really haven't done too many videos because I just was feeling miserable. But this time last week, I thought I was doing okay, and then I kind of tailed down and started feeling worse. Now I'm starting to feel a little bit better. So hopefully it maintains and I keep progressing forward into being a little bit healthier. So, but I thought it was a very good episode. I'm not convinced that the rival is a villain anyway, so if he doesn't come back, I'm all good with that. I'm very intrigued by Dr. Alchemy. And I know there's a lot of DC fans out there that are very familiar with him. I'm not, so it's going to be a treat for me to see him get developed on the show. It's going to be interesting to see if, and I'm more than sure it will, it's going to be interesting to see how this carries over into Arrow. Are there going to be other subtle changes on Arrow that we did not notice right away? You know, is the reason the team's not coming back together, is it because of what happened last season, or is it because of what Barry did? Interesting stuff. You know what I'm saying? Interesting stuff. So I think Barry's learned this lesson, especially after having a pep talk with the original Flash. I'm hoping between that pep talk and him seeing the effects of his decision will now prevent him from ever doing it again. And it sounds like it will. You know, he refused to do Cisco that favor of going back in time. And then next week's episode looks fantastic. We're going to see one of the speedsters come into the fray in Jesse Quick, and we'll get to see Tom Cavanaugh reprise his role as Harrison Wells. So I think personally that the Flash season is off to a good start. And once again, it is one of my favorite shows, if not my favorite show on TV right now. And I think they're doing a good job again this season, setting up a big, big deal. And I like how all these crossovers kind of center around the dumb decisions that Barry tends to make. Also, on a side note, I want to say that I was very happy to see, I don't know his real name, it slips my mind, but it's very nice to see Draco Malfoy from Harry Potter on the show. And I think he's going to be an effective character. The guy is excellent at playing a prick. He just is. He's always been excellent at playing a prick. The first Planet of the Apes movie, I think it was Rise of the Planet of the Apes. He played a prick in that one. He was he was tending to the gorillas, and he was an asshole in that movie. He was an asshole in all the Harry Potter movies. So it's going to be nice to see him play another asshole in a different way. So and to see if he's going to have something to do with what's going on. You know what I mean? Is there something deeper behind this character? Not really, can't really tell yet, but he might be there to throw a monkey wrench in Barry. Might make Barry look bad, might do something to affect Barry's personal life, in which in turn will affect his life as a superhero. So very, very interesting. It wouldn't surprise me if he finds out who Barry is at some point, and that plays a big role. But we'll see, man. It's early, but I'm very excited to see where the show's going. What did you guys think of this show, this episode? How do you feel about where season 3 is going right now? I feel pretty optimistic about what they're doing. I like it so far, and hopefully it continues to progress in a very positive direction. I like all this potential. I like this mess that he's made and the effects that it can have on the show and the universe going forward. So we'll see how it plays out next week. It should be pretty exciting. Anyway, guys, that's it for this review. This is Rob signing off for ETN, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy. Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob, and this video we're going to do our review for The Flash Season 3, Episode 2, Paradox. And this was a very, very good episode. Boy, things are really moving along quickly. So Barry learns early in the episode, or at least throughout going back in time, going back and reflecting while talking to Felicity from Arrow and confiding in her of what he had done. And she kind of helps him and asks him to go through it. And we learned that there's a lot more that's happened in Barry's new reality outside of Central City. And I thought this episode was really, really good. It's almost weird because I felt it was very fast paced, but not in such a way that detracted from the episode. In fact, I kind of like the fact that it's moving at this rate. You know, it's funny, you watch the show The Flash, and I think back to the first 2 seasons, and a lot of times they they drag the storyline. You know, we took a long time to find out who Reverse Flash was, even though we got a good hint of that as the episodes progressed. And then season 2, it took a long time to also find out who Zoom was, although we started to piece that together little by little as well.